They sacrificed their lives so we could live the way that we do.
If my heart stops beating and I'm in the ground, there's still this sea of complete strangers that are going to honor me and my fellow brothers and sisters that have served.
And when I see that flag, I get very emotional.
KARE 11 is joining forces with Flags for Fort Snelling, working with the Mall of America and RBCU to blanket.
Yep. Hi, my name is Joe Mavison.
My name is Anna Mavison.
And we want to thank the Flags for Fort Snelling organization and RBCU for their sponsorship of the Flags for Fort Snelling initiative. We were able to honor our dad and grandfather.
My grandfather.
With a flag at his grave on this very important day. My dad served in the Navy during World War II. He was a machinist mate, second class, serving on the USS Trip and USS Banner. He proudly served in the Navy, and we thank him for his service, and this is one way that we could honor both him and all other veterans who gave their time and resources in the defense of our country. This was a great opportunity. It's important that we honor our veterans. We come from a family where community service and military service is important. I have a sister that's a veteran. My son is in the Army Reserve, and we're very proud of the services that they provided to our country.
And what did it feel like the day of Memorial Day? Like to be surrounded by all those people and
on this occasion, it was absolutely fantastic to see how many thousands of people came out to honor our veterans at Fort Snelling. The Flags for Fort Snelling accomplished its goal of putting a flag on every gravestone in the cemetery, which was an awesome feat.
And do you hope that this tradition continues? Yeah.
We hope that this is an annual event and that people will come out and continue to support our veterans as I don't know what to say there.
You're so good at speaking on camera.
Well, we hope that this is an annual event that can be supported by our community with all of the volunteers and logistics that are required. It's an amazing effort on the part of the Twin Cities community to honor those veterans lying at Fort Snelling.
Excellent.
We hope that this is an annual event that is completely supported by our community. It's important that we recognize and honor our veterans. This was an emotional day for us because we could see the thousands of people that came out to recognize the sacrifice of our military veterans. Huh?
Yep.
All right. You want to say something?
Just waiting for you to shut up.
Say something.
God.
Say something then.
She didn't ask me any questions.
I'll do this real quick, and then I'll mic you and you can say something.
I really don't have to say anything.
Well, you want the chance.
You guys are doing great. It's not easy being on camera, but you're making it look easy.
Part of the Flags for Fort Snelling was a very memorable thing I got to experience, and I hope I can continue the tradition. Being a part of placing a flag on every gravestone in Fort Snelling was something that I'll never forget, and I really do hope that this tradition continues. There was a lot of volunteers out there, and I think that when word gets out, more people will want to be a part of something so special. And it also makes me feel good that we keep a family tradition that every year on my grandma and my grandpa's birthday, we will go to their gravesite and wish them well as Memorial Day and Labor Day as well. And I like that family tradition, and I like to be a part of that as well. So it meant a lot to me to be a part of this this past year, and I want to continue. Did you just start laughing at me?
No.
God.
I was smiling. I was actually impressed you could put more than two words together.
You are.
I talk for a living.
Do you? What do you do?
I'm a counselor.
Oh, okay. Can you look down at your little...
Picture without a frame.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
It means to me that no one's forgotten, that the community really cherishes what we sacrifice and what the veterans sacrifice and their families. It was nice to have my daughter out there so she was able to witness it too. Yeah, as long as I can, as long as it keeps going. I think it's definitely something that needs to continue so everybody understands what, you know, veterans do and people in the armed forces. You know, it was surreal. I lost a lot of our members over there, of my platoon, so to be able to do this was not just to give back to the people of Minnesota, but to also show, it gave me a little bit of feeling that I was still honoring my guys. I felt that warm pride again and being able to hopefully put a flag down from somebody whose family member is not around, that they're still not forgotten. And that I hope that wherever my guys ended up, whether it's Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Kansas, that someone's putting a flag on their grave and that they're not forgotten. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Hello, I'm Bob Pike, or Robert G. Pike, and I'm here to talk a little bit about family history in the service. I'll start from the youngest and go up to the eldest. My grandson is right now in the Army. He's in the middle of a 4-year tour. He's over in Kuwait on a 9-month service area. He's in the Army, but he's in boat operator, so he's in the Army's Navy. His father, my son, was in the Army for over 6 years. He spent most of his time at WACA, the White House Communication Agency, in Ronald Reagan's presidency, and that was pretty neat. And then I spent 3 years in the Army at the tail end of the Korean War. Fortunately, I was in Germany, not in Korea, so didn't see any combat. Son Tom didn't see any combat except for some of the traffic cones or something they drove over when they were taking President Reagan around. And Ian hasn't seen any combat yet. My grandfather on my mother's side served in the Spanish-American War, and he did see combat. I have a picture here that will show of that. And then my grandmother's second husband, because grandfather Harry James Thom died fairly young, she remarried, and her second husband also served, and I don't know for sure where he served. So we've got some history there. And none of the family is buried in a military one. I think Grandpa Harry died before Fort Snelling was actually there. He's buried in Roselawn Cemetery in Roseville, Minnesota. And I guess that's pretty much the story there. But the main thing I want to say is freedom is not free. If it weren't for our military people, all different branches of the service, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have the freedom and the liberties and the things that we are so blessed with in the USA. So that's the main thing, and God bless America.
And you were part of Flags for Fort Snelling?
I was part of Flags for Fort Snelling. I was They're, because I'm on the supervisory committee or board of credit union here, I was over and I helped load the buses. I didn't actually get out to plant any flags, but needed to get the people on the buses so that they could go do the flag planting. Yeah, it was really exciting to be part of that, and it's really important to to recognize the service that these people did, and do that on Memorial Day by planting the flags there. Oh, it just means a whole lot. It means everything, and so many of those veterans, the service people that come back in a coffin, they have their flag folded in the trifold, and then that's the families. That's really important, and so then to have a flag on at the tombstone is incredible. Yes, really proud that the Todd here at the credit union got things going with it. Heard about it, and that it was something that had happened many years ago when it was much smaller, and now with 200,000 more people buried there at Fort Snelling, it was an incredible undertaking, and then quite a bit of money had to be raised in order to purchase the flags and to rent the buses and all the rest of this that went with it. And really glad for that opportunity to be part of that. Yes, I was part of Flags for Fort Snelling. I got involved because I'm on the supervisory committee here at the credit union, and yep, I want to thank him and all of the other people in the service that are protecting us, because freedom isn't free. And so many of the people have lost their lives or lost limbs, and it's wonderful to be able to be part of Flags for Fort Snelling to represent them and to thank them.
You are excellent at speaking on camera. Thank you.
My name is Joe Waldock, and I represent SALs for the American Legion 550, which is the Sons of the American Legion. I'm a Bloomington resident, and
Tell us about your involvement with Flags for Fort Snelling.
well, we do our banking here. We're a nonprofit here in Bloomington, and we do our banking here. So I'm here a lot. My wife works here at the bank, and when they brought up the Flags of Fort, so it just kind of made sense that well, I grew up here. My father was a World War II vet. My grandfather was a World War I vet. So both my grandparents and my parents are at Fort Snelling. My uncle and aunts, I have nephews, I have lots of people in my family that are at Fort Snelling. So it just made sense for me and the American Legion to give money for it. So that's how it kind of got started. Well, it's always been kind of in my DNA since helping, just being a part of a veteran who's proud of being a veteran, proud of being an American. That's kind of why I got involved with the American Legion. Not being a vet is to support the vets, because I don't think you have to be a vet to be patriotic and do a lot for your country. But I'm so proud of the people that do it, that I like to give back to them and help and support it. So that's why I think it's really important that we do what we do. The emotions of, as a country, what we have and why we have it is overwhelming, and I think it's something that everywhere in the world is seeking to get, then we just have it as Americans. So I don't know if that makes sense, but being able to sit here and talk to you, I mean, that alone is, some people can't do that. Don't have the opportunity to do. I do. Both my father and my mother, my grandfather and my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt, brother-in-law, a couple of good friends. Yeah, many people that I know are at Fort Snelling, so I go there. I have a map to find where they are because it's getting, unfortunately, it's getting filled up fast. So you almost need a map to find out where you are out there. Doesn't put it past Minnesota, because I think we're kind of, that's kind of the way we are. I'm proud of being a Minnesotan.
And so
My other experiences with my dad when he got older, I was fortunate to work for the airline, so I used to fly him around to his World War II. He was 104th Timberwolf, which I'd fly to these reunions and hear these stories that he would never tell his son, I guess, for lack of better words. And when I would ask him, like, well, why wouldn't you tell me that? And he would just kind of look at me like, well, why would I tell you that? Because it's, I guess it's something that, you know, it's like an experience with a vet is an experience that you don't talk with other people. It's kind of your unspoken friendship, I guess. It intrigued me that he had a different kind of a life than the life that he normally saw him every day. And I think what started as a $2,000 donation from us blossomed in almost a $50,000 donation when they got the word out to other veteran organizations. And I think that's a great thing because they do want to give money to things that honor them. I want to thank all the vets that done what they've done, so I can sit here today and talk.
man, you have a lot of family in the military. That's incredible. So was your dad like your dad joined the military? Did your dad not want you to join the military?
Well, I'm the youngest of five, and none of us joined the military, which is amazing. That not one of us did, and I don't think he didn't promote it, but he wouldn't have been mad or nothing. He just.
So the fourth one in for the end?
Yeah, the bottom row.
It's the camera. It makes everyone
I know. All right. Hi, my name's Chris Eunice. I'm with RBCU. I work in marketing, and I was part of the Flags for Fort Snelling by volunteering with RBCU at Mall of America on Memorial Day weekend. It was a very fun event. It was a very fun event to be a part of and very impactful to restore traditions such as Flags for Fort Snelling, being able to put flagstones on over, I believe it was 250,000 headstones, and in which one was my grandfather's headstone, Al Eunice, who served in the Korean War. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated and who was involved in that. Very thoughtful, very selfless, and yeah, I just think it was a very cool thing to be a part of. I had a lot of emotions actually on Memorial Day. It was something where I guess I didn't know what to expect going into it. I haven't really been around a lot of the kind of service culture or that kind of environment before, so that was kind of a first for me. So lots of appreciation, lots of gratitude, lots of hugs, lots of ups, downs, and it was just incredible. At the time of the morning, I think we showed up there around 4:30, 5 in the morning, and to see the amount of people that were already there, ready to help out, lend a hand in whatever way they could. Really cool to see it. Yeah, and yeah, thank you for honoring my grandfather, Al Eunice, who was a Korean War vet. Yeah, I hope it does. I think it's something that a lot of people, it reaches, kind of touches everybody on a different level. I think everybody kind of has some sort of involvement, whether it's a relative or somebody close to them that has served or is serving in the military currently. So I think it can still, I think it can grow a lot still. I think it has a lot, we've accomplished a lot already, but I think there's a lot more to accomplish moving forward, not only around this area, but kind of nationally, if we can get that far. So hopefully with everybody's efforts, it continues to grow, and we can continue to make good things happen and support everybody in the military.
Hi, I'm Todd. I'm with RBCU, and a lot of times people ask us, why did RBCU want to get involved with Flags for Fort Snelling? And every time I'm asked that question, I think of probably a handful of people that are all laid to rest either at Fort Snelling or other national cemeteries around the country. My grandpa is laid to rest there. I never got to meet him because he died from effects of mustard gas in World War I, so I never got to meet him. My cousin is laid to rest out in western Minnesota, and I never got to meet him because he died in Vietnam when I was like 3 years old. And so as I think about all the other stories of the other families that have relatives buried at Fort Snelling or any other national cemetery around the country, I think there's nothing more important that a credit union could do than to support the efforts of Flags for Fort Snelling and restore a tradition that ended 35 years ago. And the stories that have come out of this have been incredibly rewarding. From a gentleman by the name of Gene South that was awarded 2 Purple Hearts in Vietnam and was not treated very well when he returned home, and he kind of kept his mouth shut. He just kind of went on to lead a business life, and but he had burned all of his everything when he got home and lived without the veterans benefits that he was entitled to. And when he was finally assessed or whatever for his injuries that he sustained during Vietnam, they found out he was 400% disabled, and yet he received 0 veterans benefits until about 6 months before he died from kidney failure as a result of Agent Orange in Vietnam. So getting involved with Flags for Fort Snelling, you hear a lot of these stories. You meet a lot of families. Just the impact, the raw emotion of knowing that somebody that they loved is laid to rest at a national cemetery like that really makes you stop and think, or it should, that when I go visit some of my relatives, I stand and look at the other headstones around my family's headstones and just wonder, what did that person's service, how did that impact their family? Did they have successors, or did the family line end with that person that's now laid to rest? I mean, the sacrifices that families have made to provide us the freedoms we enjoy pretty much says it all. There's not much else that RBCU would have to know or hear about to want to be involved in something great like that, and we look forward to continuing that for years to come. And just want to thank everybody for jumping in and joining us and supporting it, from Legion Posts and Mall of America, Care 11. It was a great team effort, and we look forward to continuing that team effort for many, many years. That's it.